Part 1. The Beginning Before the Ending. Alyssa and Mark met in the most unremarkable place for something remarkable to begin. A quiet coffee shop near the river, on a rainy Tuesday that felt like nothing special. Alyssa was the kind of person who carried too many notebooks because she never knew when inspiration would strike. A design student with paint always stuck beneath her nails, she dreamed of someday running her own studio, something small, warm, filled with plants and soft light. Mark was almost her opposite, an engineer who carried logic around like armor. He liked clear answers, neat solutions, and predictable outcomes. He ironed his shirts. He labeled his folders. He never lost his keys. They were not meant to cross paths, but they did. Alyssa was fishing through her bag for her wallet, nearly dropping her sketchbook. Mark, standing behind her in line, caught it before it hit the floor. "Careful," he said with a shy smile. "Gravity's aggressive today." She laughed, and he never forgot that sound. They sat together by the window that day. 1 hour became 3. He liked the way she saw the world in textures and colors. She liked the way he listened, fully, as if every word she said mattered. They exchanged numbers. Later that week, they went on their first real date, and then another, and another. Within a month, they had fallen into that soft, natural rhythm that feels like home. Within a year, they were in love. The kind of love that makes you believe the world finally got something right. Neither of them had any idea how quickly something right could become something they no longer recognized.
Part 2. The First Cracks. For a long time, everything felt easy. Alyssa and Mark moved in together after a year. They learned each other's routines. Alyssa talked in her sleep. Mark hummed when he focused. She loved late-night walks. He loved early mornings. She brought chaos. He brought order. They balanced each other. Until, slowly, they didn't. It didn't happen dramatically. There was no huge fight, no slammed doors. Just shifts. Subtle things Alyssa noticed before Mark ever admitted something was wrong. The distance. Mark used to call her during lunch breaks just to say hi. Then, "I'm busy" became the default. He used to ask her about her day. Then he barely looked up from his computer. One night she cooked his favorite dinner, lemon chicken with rosemary, and he ate it distractedly while scrolling through work messages. "You're somewhere else," Alyssa said quietly. Mark looked up, startled, as if he hadn't realized she was in the room. No, I'm just tired. Work's been insane." And she wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. But the space between them kept growing, like a crack in the wall no one fixed in time. The unspoken things. At first, she tried to fix it. She planned weekend trips. She left little notes on his desk. She asked if he wanted to talk. But Mark responded the way people do when they're slipping away and don't know how to explain it. With half answers, vague smiles, and "I'm fine, really." Meanwhile, Alyssa felt like she was holding their whole relationship together with shaking hands. One night, she found him sitting in the dark living room long after midnight, staring at nothing. "You okay?" she whispered. He hesitated too long before saying, "Yeah, just thinking." Part 3. The Call That Broke Everything. Alyssa had planned the vacation for months, a short trip with her family to the coast. Mark insisted she should go. "You deserve a break," he told her, kissing her forehead. "I'll be fine here, really." But something in his eyes didn't match the softness in his voice. Still, she went, and during the first few days, things felt almost normal. They texted, called, sent pictures back and forth. Then came the last day. Alyssa was sitting on a balcony overlooking the ocean.
The sun was setting in orange and gold. Her phone rang. Mark. She smiled when she saw his name. She had no idea she was about to lose him. "Hey," she said softly. "Perfect timing. The sunset is insane." Silence. "Mark?" He exhaled, long and heavy. The kind of exhale people make when they're gathering courage to hurt someone. "Alyssa, we need to talk." Her heart dropped instantly. No good sentence in the world starts like that. "About what?" she whispered. He hesitated. Then bluntly, "I don't think I love you anymore." The world stopped. It didn't spin, didn't move, just stopped. She tried to process the words, but they felt unreal, mismatched, impossible. "What do you mean you don't love me?" Her voice cracked. "Mark, what are you talking about? Where is this coming from?" "I don't know. I just don't feel the spark anymore. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think we should break up." "While?" she repeated. "For a while? You didn't tell me anything. You kept acting like we were okay." "I didn't want to ruin your trip." The cruelty of that sentence stunned her. "So you waited until the last day? Until I'm hours away from coming home? Mark, I thought we were fine. I thought you just needed space. I thought—" "I'm sorry," he said, but his voice didn't sound sorry. It sounded relieved, like someone releasing a burden he no longer wanted to carry. Alyssa felt tears build so fast she couldn't breathe. "Is there someone else?" she whispered. "No," he said too quickly. I don't feel it anymore." Her hands shook so hard she almost dropped the phone. "Please don't do this. Not like this." "I'm sorry." "Mark, please, can we at least talk in person when I get home?" "It won't change anything." "Don't just throw it away." "Alyssa, it's over." And just like that, the call ended. He didn't even wait for her to respond. Didn't give her time to beg. Didn't say goodbye. The ocean kept moving. The sunset kept burning. But Alyssa sat perfectly still, heart in her hands, shattered. That night was hell. She cried until she couldn't breathe. She curled into herself on the balcony chair. She didn't sleep. She didn't eat. She didn't speak. Her family noticed, but she couldn't say a word. The boy she loved had cut the cord between them in a single phone call, and she had to go home to the apartment they shared alone. Part 4. The return to an empty home. The car ride from the airport to their apartment felt unreal, like Alyssa was moving through a world wrapped in fog. Her hands were still trembling, her chest still tight. Every breath felt borrowed. She kept replaying the call in her head, every pause, every emotionless sentence, every word that cut her apart. When she finally reached the front door, she just stood there for a moment, keys in hand, staring at it. This was the door she and Mark had carried groceries through, the door they had kissed against when they were too in love to make it to the bedroom, the door they entered on lazy Sundays after brunch. Now, it was the door she had to walk through alone. Alyssa unlocked it. Inside, the apartment was painfully quiet. Too quiet. She stepped in slowly, half expecting, half hoping Mark would be sitting on the couch, ready to say he made a mistake, ready to fight for them. But he wasn't there. Instead, she noticed something strange. His stuff was gone. Not all of it. He wasn't cruel enough to strip the place bare, but enough to make it obvious he hadn't waited for her return. His clothes, his books, his guitar, gone. He'd moved out while she was away. Her knees gave out. She dropped onto the floor, shoulders shaking, hands over her face. The grief came in a wave so heavy it felt like drowning, a kind of pain that doesn't stay in the chest, but spreads into every limb, every thought, every breath. She wasn't just heartbroken. She was abandoned, without warning,
without conversation, without closure. The apartment felt haunted, not by ghosts, but by absence. The empty space in the closet, the cold imprint on his side of the bed, the toothbrush missing from the bathroom cup. It all screamed the same message. He didn't want her anymore. The aftermath. That first night back, Alyssa couldn't sleep in their bed. She curled up on the couch instead, clutching one of his old hoodies, just to have something that still smelled like him. She couldn't eat, couldn't focus, couldn't understand how love could turn into nothing in his eyes, so fast, so cleanly, so cruelly. Her friends came the next day. They tried comforting her, speaking softly, wrapping their arms around her, offering food she didn't touch. But nothing made the pain smaller. Nothing made the questions stop. Why wasn't I enough? How could he leave me so easily? Did he ever love me at all? How long had he been planning this? Was he already replacing me? Those questions stayed with her day after day, like a storm that refused to stop. The discovery. A week later, Alyssa finally gathered the courage to go through the apartment, to try to understand what happened. While packing some of Mark's leftover things into a box, she found something tucked in the back of his desk drawer. A receipt for a dinner for two, dated 2 weeks before he broke up with her, at a restaurant she had never even heard of, one he had once said was too fancy for us. Her blood ran cold. Her hands started shaking. She checked the bank statement on his shared account because for years they trusted each other with passwords. There were more. Uber rides, 2 coffee purchases at the same time, a movie ticket with 2 seats booked. The heartbreak expanded in her chest like a wound being ripped open all over again. Mark hadn't fallen out of love. He had replaced her before she even knew she was losing him.
Part 5. The Other Girl. Alyssa sat frozen on the floor, the receipt still trembling in her hand. It felt like the room was spitting, or maybe it was just her whole world collapsing in a new, sharper way. Cheating. She had suspected many things: coldness, distance, doubt. But betrayal? She had never prepared her heart for that. Her throat tightened until it hurt. She pressed her fist against her mouth, trying not to scream. After several long minutes, she grabbed her laptop. If Mark had left clues, she would find them. Her fingers moved automatically, the way they had 100 times before when she'd casually used their shared accounts. Except now, every click felt like peeling back a layer of truth she didn't want to see. First, Instagram. Mark had unfollowed her days ago. She hadn't even noticed. But he had recently followed someone else. Hannah Lee. Profile picture. Long dark hair, warm smile, the kind of girl who looked friendly and safe. Alyssa clicked. The page was public. And that was when the pieces began to fall into place. Their first interaction. A month ago, a like from Mark on one of Hannah's photos. A week later, a comment. Just a simple compliment, but Alyssa knew his tone. She knew exactly what that meant. Then more likes, more comments. And then, a photo. Hannah had posted from that same fancy restaurant. 2 wine glasses, half-eaten dessert, candlelight. Alyssa stared at it until her eyes blurred. Her worst fear wasn't just real, it was public. The DMs. Her hands shook as she opened their shared Google account. Mark had never been careful about logging out. There they were, a long list of messages between him and Hannah. Her stomach twisted. She clicked the most recent one. Mark, can't wait to see you again tonight. I wish Alyssa wasn't coming back so soon. Alyssa slapped her hand over her mouth as the tears fell. Then she opened another message, from 2 weeks earlier, the night before that fancy dinner. Hannah, if you're not happy, why are you still with her? Mark, I don't know. I just need to figure out how to end it. She doesn't deserve to be dragged along. Dragged. Dragged. Like their entire relationship had been a burden to him, a mistake, a lie. Alyssa's chest felt like it was being crushed from the inside. The photo. Then she found the message that broke her completely. A picture. Hannah and Mark, his arm around her, her head against his shoulder, both of them smiling the way he hadn't smiled with Alyssa in months. The timestamp. The night before Alyssa flew out on her work trip. The night he kissed her goodbye. The night he whispered, "I'll miss you." The night he slept next to her as if nothing was wrong. The collapse. Alyssa dropped the laptop. Her breath was fast and shallow, her heartbeat wild and uneven, her body shaking so violently she could barely stay upright. She curled forward, pressing her forehead to the floor, sobbing in quiet, broken gasps, the kind of crying that came from a place deeper than hurt. It came from betrayal, humiliation, the realization that she had been replaced long before the breakup call. She didn't know how long she stayed there. Minutes, hours, she couldn't tell. All she knew was that something inside her had shifted. Something had shattered that would never mend the same way again. When her breathing finally steadied, she wiped her face with trembling hands. And for the first time since the breakup, she felt something new. Not love, not pain, not grief. Anger. Cold. Clear. Focused. She wasn't done.